Hey everybody, good seeing you again. So, two things. Number one, we are filming the next few country episodes, so I gotta give you a filler week topic. Second of all, very quickly, a lot of you have been asking me, what am I gonna do about Eswatini? You know, the name that Swaziland just changed their name to. And to answer that question, I'm going to see what the UN does in terms of their methodology for standard country codes and names. Right now, the country still stands under Swaziland under the ISO Alpha 3 code of SWZ. If they change this for the first time, I will nullify the alphabetical rule and we will do an Eswatini episode. If they do not change it, then I will have to follow the UN standard list and it will have to go under S for Swaziland. So it's up to the UN. All right, but let's get into the video. So for this video, I chose a topic that many of you guys suggested. A long time ago, I summarized all of the 50 states of the United States. However, a lot of you guys asked me to summarize the biggest cities in each state of the United States. I've actually been to a lot of these cities, so I feel like I have a better insight to some of them. But for some of these cities, my knowledge is pretty limited because I've never even been to the state, let alone the city. So for those cities, I'm just gonna try my best to improvise and summarize it how I feel like that city would be like based off of whatever little knowledge I have, and I might add a little bit of research in there as well. All right, so here we go. Birmingham, Alabama. This place is like Atlanta's little brother, and it was like a huge center for the civil rights movement. And like, it really doesn't matter if you're black or white, everybody cheers for the same team. They all scream Roll Tide, and they love Alabama style barbecue. Oh my gosh, so much sauce. Anchorage, Alaska. Now you guys know that Ken and I were recently there for the second geography. Now here's the thing, the city of Anchorage was like built by survivors. If you thought Texans were tough, you have not met Alaskans. Practically everybody in that city knows how to either hunt, fish, or like just generally not die. Literally when I was at that school, this girl came up to me and she showed me this picture. She's like, hey, look at this. I shot this moose when I was only 8 years old. Speaking of which, the city actually does have like, I think 1,400 wild moose just roaming around randomly. No, but seriously, it's like an incredibly charming city. Lots of like pioneer themed bars and pubs and restaurants. Very charming. Totally recommend you visit. Phoenix, Arizona. They're like the opposite of Anchorage, in which instead of thriving off of the cold, they thrived off of the heat. The city of Phoenix is really interesting because it's like they have these big massive boulder hill things all over that the highway passes through. There's a lot of native tribes there, like I think the Apache and the O'odham. You know, instead of green grass in their front lawns, they have cacti. These people are very smart when it comes to like water conservation. And yeah, I mean, if you just really want to see like a desert metropolis, Phoenix, go there. Little Rock, Arkansas. Now, I drove past here one time and my first impression was, whoa, there's a lot more black people here than I thought there were. I always thought Little Rock would be kind of like a, you know, predominantly white, you know, country-ish type of city. But no, like literally half of the population is black. And it's really interesting because the city kind of like fuses country and black culture. Like there's black people there playing country music. That's the thing, like this city surprises you at every turn. So I don't know, if you like surprises, go to Little Rock. Los Angeles, California, my hometown, the second largest city in the US. Basically, when it comes to California, there's two titans, Los Angeles and San Francisco. LA makes billions off of entertainment, San Francisco makes billions off of tech. Now, LA is like a double-edged sword because on the surface, you know, you have beaches, skiing, perfect weather most of the year, good-looking people. But the problem is you have lots of smog, traffic, scams, broken dreams, and everything is like crazy expensive, especially if you're north of the 10 freeway. But other than that, whether you love it or hate it, there's just something about this city that just sparkles. Denver, Colorado. Denver is like our healthiest city. People here, you know, they all go hiking, they all go kayaking, they all actually go outdoors. I'm pretty sure half of everybody has like a stash of trail mix in their cars just for emergencies. It's a little deceptive though. The airport is like 20 miles away in the middle of some cornfield. But yeah, I imagine Denver is probably a beautiful city where they eat a lot of elk because elk is like a big thing out in the Rockies. I don't know. If you're from Denver, let me know if that was right. Bridgeport, Connecticut. Now, I have never been to Connecticut, but I knew a guy that lived close by and he said it's actually a little bit kind of like depressing and creepy because there's like a lot of power plants and factories and industrial areas along the coast. And one of them is haunted. I think it's called like the Remington Arms Factory. And there's also that like abandoned, haunted, cursed Savoy Hotel, which was like built on an Indian burial mound. And like people were murdered there or something. In fact, Connecticut has like a lot of creepy stuff now that I think about it. But the funny thing is Connecticut is also known for being like very clean and proper and like suburban-y. So I don't know, maybe it's like clean and proper, but with like a creepy undertone. Maybe it's like the Stepford Wives, that type of thing going on. I don't know how you describe yourselves. Connecticutians. What do you call yourselves? Connecticutians? Connecticese? Kinetic energy? I don't know. Wilmington, Delaware. Now, I've never been there, but I did a little bit of research. Wilmington is actually the site of Fort Christina, the first Swedish settlement in North America. Yeah, remember the Swedish actually took a stab at colonialism that one time and they tried to make an empire. It didn't really work out that well, but they tried. Now today there's a tons of Italians and Greeks. The city's slogan is, "It's a place to be somebody." I'm not completely sure what that means, but maybe if you think you're a big shot, Wilmington is your place to go. Miami, Florida. Now when I think of Miami, I think of like dudes wearing, you know, buttoned beige shirts with matching slacks and like sandals and maybe slick back hair or like a Panama hat. And for them, that's considered business casual. Miami is like two things: the cruise ship capital of the world and the Latin American capital with a huge Cuban population. You will always hear like some kind of Latin music playing in the background and you'll smell something spicy in the air. Unfortunately, they do get kind of hit hard with extreme storms and hurricanes, and they do kind of have to worry about flooding with, you know, rising sea levels. But hey, worry about that later. The mambo just started playing. Let's dance. Miami. Wow, this is the worst continuity error I've ever made in a video, but nothing I can do about it. Gotta keep moving on. Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta is kind of like Birmingham's older brother. You know, it's the home of Martin Luther King. Lots of civil rights stuff happened here too. But the interesting thing is that they are now becoming like the new Hollywood of the East Coast. Tons of TV and movie production companies are moving out to Atlanta now, partially because number 1, the scenery, 2, the weather, 3, it's cheaper, 4, the tax rates, and 5, generally it's just like a nice convenient city. Oh, and it has like the busiest airport in our entire country. See, Atlanta, it's kind of like an up-and-coming city in America. Check it out. And back to the previous footage. Honolulu, Hawaii. I've been to this place, and I will say this: be careful of the rocks underneath the water on some of the beaches. I personally think Honolulu is kind of like what all Polynesian states should strive after. You know, like a culturally intact place that moves forward into the 21st century with an advanced infrastructure and diversified economy. What's really cool, though, I would say, is the Hawaiian language revival. A couple decades ago, the language almost went completely extinct, but then they started like immersion programs in schools, and now like half of the population can speak it, mostly the younger people. And you know, you got all the touristy stuff and the beautiful beaches and whatever, but to me, that is like one of the most beautiful things about Honolulu. Boise, Idaho. Now, this is a difficult one because I've never been to Idaho, let alone Boise, so I'm just gonna kind of say what I guess the city would probably be like. To me, I feel like Boise is the type of city where nobody would bother you. Like seriously, I feel like half of their population must be part of the witness protection program, because not even serial killers would, they'd be like, oh, I have to go to Idaho? Forget it. I did some research and let's see. One of the largest Basque communities in America lives here. What else? They have a center for birds of prey, which help the peregrine falcons from being taken off the endangered species list. Ooh, that's pretty cool. I guess, yeah, Boise will be the bird or the falcon capital of the USA. Chicago, Illinois. Now, I wasn't born in this city, but I did spend a lot of years growing up here, so I feel like I have a somewhat extended knowledge base. Chicago is the comedy capital of America. There are more comedy clubs here per capita than in any other city in America. Some of our most famous comedians were either born or trained here. They also have like the slowest metro system in the country, but that's actually part of the charm. You're riding a train in these like elevated platforms that get so close to the buildings, like you feel like you're gonna hit them. Oh, and never, ever put ketchup on your hot dogs. Indianapolis, Indiana. I've passed by this city a few times, and that's kind of like what the city is known for. The city that you pass by. Not just kidding. The biggest thing that they're famous for is the Indy 500, one of the largest motorsport venues in our country. I feel like the people in Indianapolis, like, it's like a city where you could probably still be a farmer and live in an apartment. Like the guy down the hallway in apartment 305A, you know, he actually probably has like a tractor in some field 40 miles away. Des Moines, Iowa. I went here for Caleb's wedding. You guys remember Caleb? Yeah, he's from Iowa. My impression of Des Moines was like, oh, just look at this little guy. He's trying to be a city out in the middle of the country. Look at you. No, but seriously, Des Moines is kind of like the secret little weapon that America hides in the middle of nowhere. For one, it's like one of the most important cities for presidential campaigns because the first caucuses are held here. And second, it is our insurance capital city. So yeah, if you want like financial services or like logistics specialists, come out here. These people really know how to do their math. And wrestle. They're famous for wrestling as well. So it's like they're smart and strong. Go figure. Iowa. Wichita, Kansas. Now this place has two nicknames, Cowtown and the air capital of the world. The first one because they have a prominent cattle industry, go figure. But the second because they are famous for being very prominent figures in the aeronautical engineering industry. Thanks to the perfect setting of flat land and unobstructed skies. They also host the McConnell Air Force Base. But yeah, if you want to fly high, Wichita's skies are where you might want to arise. Ooh, yeah. I got the flow. No, I don't. Louisville, Kentucky. It's Louisville. Not Louisville, Louisville. No, Louisville. I've been here a few times and I gotta say, it is a nice little sleepy river town. Scooter! You remember Scooter? Yeah, my buddy Scooter, sir. He's from there. And yeah, I stayed at his family's place. Very walkable city. For them, it's all about baseball, bourbon, and horse racing. They put bourbon in everything. They put it in like their cakes, their pies. If you know, oh, bourbon pie. Oh, that is good stuff. What's really weird though is they have like a theme park right next to the airport. Okay. New Orleans or Nolans. Now this is the one city in the US that I have not been to that I am dying to go to. The food is spicy, the music is unique, the buildings have that je ne sais quoi appeal that brings you back to the era when the French controlled this place. And just like Hawaii, there is a resurgence of people that are now starting to learn Cajun French. Louisiana in general is the largest francophone community in the US, and it's really cool when they speak it, and even if they just have that Cajun accent, it's like, oh yeah, keep talking. Portland, Maine. Now again, this is difficult because I've never been to Maine. My buddy Jason is kind of from that general area. He's told me a little bit about it. I feel like Portland is kind of like if you took all the stereotypes of Maine and jammed it into one concentrated semi-metropolitan area, that's what it would be like. You know, huge maritime culture. A lot of people there go sailing and fishing. I'm sure like a lot of the houses and buildings are like decorated with, you know, maritime ornaments like anchors or like harpoons. There's probably a guy with like an eye patch and he lives in a lighthouse and he's like, I once caught this whale, but it got away. Baltimore, Maryland, where you can get crabs. Like soft shell blue Maryland crabs cooked right, or crab cakes. No, but seriously, it's a really cool city. I've been there a few times. They got a great little Italy. They got like historic wooden sea vessels on the coast where you can just kind of visit and check them out. It's just like a really cool place to have a lunch, you know? Yeah, that's what I'd say. Baltimore is like a good lunch city. Boston, Massachusetts. I've known a lot of people from Boston, and according to them, Boston is better than New York in every possible way. You cannot refute that. No, but seriously, Boston is interesting because it's kind of like an intellectual-based city. It's one of those cities that was built before like the modern era, so a lot of the streets don't make sense and they're kind of like twisty and windy. But yeah, Boston, I mean, you got to give it to them. I mean, you meet a lot of people from Boston who are proud of being from Boston. Detroit, Michigan. Now here's the thing, Detroit did go through a lot of bad years, but now they are really starting to see a rebound. Property values go down and then a ton of people move in and then they start to like kind of boost up the economy all over again. That's kind of what's happening in Detroit now. If you love urban spelunking, Detroit is actually the perfect place because they have a lot of like interestingly abandoned buildings that you can kind of sneak into and check out. But a lot of the buildings are being bought out now and refurbished, so you got to kind of hurry up before, you know, big companies come in. Minneapolis. I was actually born nearby here. Minneapolis is like the city of lakes. I'd say it's a nice, calm, you know, kind of safe town. It's got some cool art sculptures, like there's this big spoon with a cherry. That's like a cool thing you can find if you go there. Winters in Minnesota are very beautiful. Lots of hills to go down for sledding, and all the ponds freeze over and you can skate on them. Jackson, Mississippi. Now, I've said it before, Mississippi is kind of like the most truest, deepest, like southern, y'all put some hot sauce on my collard greens state. And Jackson is like the epicenter. Jackson's nickname is the city with soul. Some very prominent gospel, folk, blues, and jazz musicians came from this place. The food is fattening and good. The people are fattening and good. If you ask for tea, it's gonna have like 40 grams of sugar in it. And the accents are just deep and thick. It's like just true, gritty, deep South. Kansas City, Missouri. Yeah, that's right. The biggest part of the city is actually in Missouri, not in Kansas, although some of it is in Kansas. Now, when I passed by here, there was one thing I learned. Kansas City is famous for Kansas City barbecue. We got quite a few variations, but the one I was introduced to was like pulled pork with the sauce all over it, and you put it in a sandwich, and it's just like, oh, it's so good, just so good. Also, I believe it is the city with the most fountains per capita. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it has the most fountains. But yeah, I would say it is definitely a barbecue type of city. So if you like food, Kansas City, go there. So that's where I'm going to end this off, the first 25 cities of America. I'll finish it off the next time we do a filler week. But yeah, in the meantime, thank you for your patience. The next few videos are coming. Patreon patrons, thank you for your support. And if you're not subscribed to this channel, feel free to subscribe. In the meantime, I will see you next time. So stay cool, stay tuned.